you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, myself included, today I would like to tell you about who I am and what makes me who I am. So, growing up in a very small little town next to a big city in the southern hemisphere, in a little country called Brazil, I was one of those kids that actually lived everything outside. Played with all my friends outside, soccer primarily, but we call it football because we use our feet. And I used to live in probably not one of the most poorest parts of Brazil, but in a poor neighborhood. And in this poor neighborhood, who I used to live with and who took care of me because my mom and dad had to go to work, it was my grandfather and my grandmother. And I want you to picture them for who they were. My grandfather, he was green, he had green eyes. He wasn't blonde, but he was white. And he was part Portuguese. And my grandmother was black. So it caused a lot of, how can I say this? I guess not turmoil, but in my family, there's always going to be people that are white and black. So when we always had our family gatherings, I would be one of the white kids, and I have my black cousins on the other side. And on my other side of the family, they were all white. So coming from that background, I learned to coexist with pretty much everybody. And in the neighborhood that I used to live in, which was a very poor neighborhood, I was also the only white kid in this neighborhood. Funny, right? So my nickname, when I used to play soccer with everybody else, they used to call me either the Russian, the German, or a ghost because I was the whitest kid there. Growing up was always fun because everybody treated each other very well. Everybody used to love my grandfather, my grandmother as well. My grandmother would be the authority figure, and my grandfather would be the nicest person ever. So one of the early memories, not one of the early memories, but one of the early memories that I had was that my grandmother would say, "You cannot swear. And if you swear, I'm going to go to this tree and pick up this branch and I'm going to hit you." So of course, being a kid, I would always try to break the rules because that's who I am. And she would bring this big stick and hit me, which was fine. I deserved it. But many moons later, I got a wonderful opportunity to come to this country. And that opportunity came when my aunt, already living here in the US with my uncle, decided to adopt me. And as I was adopted, they just told me, "Hey, we're going to go to Disney World." And I was like, "Disney World? Yes." But what is, I didn't even know what Disney World was, but I was like, wow, Disney World, I don't know what it is. Because remember, this is the 1990s. And back in the day, there wasn't internet. Nobody really talked about it. Yeah, there was, I have a couple of cousins that they're part doctors, so they had a little bit of money. And they used to take me around these nice little parts of Brazil, which was great too. But I never even heard of Disney World. What is Disney World? So as I arrived into this country, and I still have my old passport that I was 9 years old, I stepped in. Not the tarmac, but Miami International Airport. And I go through, they ask a bunch of questions. My dad is like, "Okay, great." And as I am driving home, I notice one of the things that are still stuck into my head today is that everything was painted, because in Brazil, sometimes they don't paint buildings for some reason. And also the streets are huge here. The highways are enormous. And everybody drove a huge car, which today we call SUVs and trucks. But one of the early memories that I have was asking my uncle as we're driving from the airport to my new home, is I see a big Chevy, I don't know what it was, but it had like double tires in the back. on each side. And I remember asking him, is this guy a construction worker? What is he? He's like, a business? Like, no, you can own this thing. And I was like, you can own a car this big? Wow, what a country, right? Many things came as well as I learned in school that you actually don't speak English in Miami, you speak Spanish. So in my classes, I was always with the Spanish kids and the teacher spoke Spanish. And I made it into, I guess, something fun that I would pass the tests, which were spelling tests at the time. And my teacher will always ask me, how did you know how to do this? Like, how did you know how to spell these things? So in Portuguese, when you spell words, they have so many accents that is actually, I used to be bad at it. But here in the US, I kind of feel like the words that you say, you kind of spell it the way they sound. So that was like an advantage for me. And every time I had a test, I would pass not being able to speak any English. So what do I want to say about this? I want to say that I am actually very thankful that I'm here. And now I'm here to learn more and speak more. Thank you.